guys, welcome back to Bibliophile Reads. I'm Courtney, and today you're joining me for the start of a weekly reading vlog. So happy that you're here. If you are a new viewer, welcome to my channel. I do bookish things here. Check out my content to see if this is a channel you'd like to subscribe to. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for being a part of our book community. So I have not done a weekly vlog in about 2 weeks because the end of the month I usually do my wrap up and my TBR, and so I can catch up on what I've read and what I am currently reading. So the last time we chatted, I was, let's see, this is like the 27th, which is why the book journal comes in handy. Okay, so I've started reading Into the Woods by Jenny Holiday, or Jennifer Holiday. Is it Jenny Holiday? And I'm about 60% in, and I just need to knock that out, but I paused it because it was starting to drag for me. This is a story about two artsy people in their early 40s, late 30s, going to an art camp for kids, and they are counselors or instructors there or whatever, and they end up getting lost in the woods for a little bit, finding out more about each other, and then they're gonna start falling in love. But like, they haven't fallen in love yet, and I'm waiting. So I believe at the 40% mark is where they got lost in the woods, and things were starting to get like, okay, we're starting to understand each other, because they weren't exactly enemies to lovers, but they just weren't really hanging out. They're just kind of in passing, and I believe they kissed at the 40% mark. For me, that's a long time to wait for in the book at the 40% mark, so I'm waiting for things to happen. So I kind of put that down for a second, and I focused my energy on Bingsu for 2. That was a YA book that I think I rated that 3 stars. And this book followed our MMC, male main character, who was just going through a lot of changes. His senior year of high school, he is a co-manager at his parents' coffee shop with his girlfriend that he just broke up with, and he's in his SATs, kind of freaks out, leaves SAT, and kind of wants to change his whole life around. He's got lots of expectations on him from the ex-girlfriend now, his parents, and he kind of wants to just walk away from all of that, and so he quits his job at his family's coffee shop, only to get a job at like a rival coffee shop. It's more mom and pop, and he really liked the mom and pop aspect of the coffee shop, and that's what his family coffee shop was before it got more commercial. And so he found like a second home there. I thought it was pretty good. I think it's definitely, obviously it's a YA book. Sometimes YA books are written up, they're kind of aged up. This one was just appropriate high school age if you're trying to figure out life and where to go from here. I think it was just mid for me because the plot started getting a little bit long, and then there's like a twist at the end with the ex-girlfriend that like didn't need to happen. But overall pretty good. Then I also read Babysitter's Club number 69, which I believe is Get Well Mallory. Yeah, Get Well Soon Mallory. And I didn't talk about this much in my wrap up because I feel like I don't need to rehash the Babysitter's Club books. They're 100 pages. But I liked this one because in this story, well, leading up to this book, Mallory has been sick, and you know, I already knew where it was going, but in this book she gets diagnosed with mono. And I just think it was so funny because this book, I think this was like in maybe 92, maybe 91 that it came out. But I think it was funny because when I was like in middle school in the 90s, yeah, mono was something that you got, was the kissing disease, right? Like if you had it, you were kissing somebody, and so it was kind of funny to like rehash that whole thing. And then they kept kind of like talking in medical terms so that people could understand what it was. So that was kind of funny. And then I was reading Onyx Storm. I'm still reading it. I like it. I think some people have read it and already decided that they didn't love it, but I actually like it. I'm just going slow with it because I like it so much that I don't want to rush it. I think I'm about, I don't know, maybe about 15% in. I think I'm being like really generous with that number, but it's a huge chunk, or like 700 pages. So working through that. But my focus this weekend was Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Basto. And this was an e-arc that I got from NetGalley. Super excited. I need to go write about it now. But I really enjoyed this book, and I think you guys will when it comes out too. Cara Bastone wrote the book Ready or Not, and that was such a good book. She also has some other audiobooks and things that she's written in the past, little shorter stories. But this one was really interesting. So this story follows our main character, Lenny, who is in grief, and she's kind of spiraling, not like in a whole like big out loud spiral, but just like little things. She's not eating, she's not sleeping well, she is removing herself from people, and she happens to need work, and she gets a job babysitting for a girl named Ainsley. And Ainsley's about 7, and Ainsley's mom, Reese, is going out of town, and so they hire Lenny for like a couple days. Ainsley really ends up taking to Lenny, and so they offer for her to work a little bit longer. While she's there, she meets Reese's brother, Miles, and he doesn't really say much. I don't want to say he's like a full grumpy. He's just kind of quiet and observant, but he kind of comes off as like lurking because he's just in the background. It almost seems like he is watching Lenny's every move to see, you know, what's she gonna do with Ainsley. But throughout the course of the book, we find that Lenny and Miles are really a great support for each other. Lenny helps and shows Miles how to be a great uncle to Ainsley, and Miles helps Lenny with her grief. She, before the person in her life passed, I'm not gonna say who, they made a list of things that she wanted to accomplish, and he takes her around to do this list. And there was a part in this story that felt a little just kind of thrown in there, and it was just like a camping trip that happened. But then I realized like it was really part of the plan to ensure Lenny had friends. She started opening up her circle and meeting people, and I think that's where it all connected. So I really liked that story. I give it 4 stars. I'm gonna put my review up on NetGalley, and I think you guys will really like that. And then I also started Star-Crossed Egg Tarts yesterday. This is by Jennifer J. Chow. I'm actually reading this on my Kindle Basic, which is a whole nother story, so hold on. I'm only 17% in, but we are following the same characters. This is a series, and the death has just happened. We are at a wedding, and one of the groomsmen are missing. He's like the head groomsman. Kelvin steps in, who's been a character in the story already, and we find that the groomsman is dead under the table of egg tarts that our main character has made. I can't remember her name. You guys, you know, me and names do not mix. And so we're on the hunt to find out who did it. Okay, also, okay, let me tell you what I'm reading also, and then I'll tell you about the Kindle situation. So the other thing I'm reading is Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo. I'm about 39% in this book. This is also a chunky book. It's about 500 pages. I'm loving this book. So Claire Lombardo also wrote, oh, what was the other name of the book? I'll put it down here if I remember. But she only has 2 books out right now, and she, the books are chunky. They're just a little, oh, The Most Fun We Ever Had is the name of the book. She wrote that book. I listened to it mostly and then read the rest. And then same thing with this. So I started, the book was 50% off at Barnes when they did their hardbacks for 50% off. And I knew that I liked her writing, but I hadn't really started much. I think I was like 10 pages in or something, and then I decided I was gonna listen to it on audio. It's on Spotify Premium if you have it. And so as I was listening to it, it was getting good. So her stories generally have a dual timeline situation, so it's like a person in the present and they reflect on the past. Same goes for this story, and we're following our main character who is a mom, and she is in present time. Her kids are older. Her son's about 24. Her daughter's about 18. She's a senior in high school. And we're just trying to like navigate what's going on in their life, as you know, we're hearing like the kids are around and daily everyday stuff with her and her husband. But as we go back to learning about her, we find that she didn't really want to be a mom necessarily, didn't know how to be a mom, didn't know how to be a wife. And so we're watching her navigate this. It is written so well. It's so intriguing. I was up at 3 a.m. Just to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, and I picked this up to start reading it. I had to make myself stop because I know that it's going to take me multiple days to finish it because it's 500 plus pages, and I wanted to finish Star-Crossed Egg Tarts, and there's a couple other books I want to get into that are a bit shorter. So I'm making myself pause to give space for other books, but this book is so good. So I highly recommend. I can't wait to finish it and tell you more about it. Let me tell you about my Kindle situation because it's driving me bananas. So I have the basic right now, and it's been great. I have had zero issues with the basic, and I think if you see my video on like which Kindle you should get, I voted for the basic because it literally has had zero issues. There's nothing wrong with the screen. It doesn't glitch. There's no ghosting. It's like perfect. I was using the pink Paperwhite, which if you've been on my journey, you know this Paperwhite has given me so many headaches. It's past the point of being returned. All I can do is replace it. And it would not connect to the internet. So I could not get the books that I was looking to read. So then I moved to the Colorsoft, and I was trying to download the Cara Bastone book. Oh, no, I was trying to, yeah, which is an e-arc, and it would not download from the cloud. And so that kept shutting down the Colorsoft. And so I was just like, I can't believe I'm now having issues with the Colorsoft. Not screen, but just like the innards of the Colorsoft. So I went to the basic, and it has given me zero issues. And now I'm feeling like I should have just got the basic and nothing else. But if you have not bought something yet, just get the basic. That's all you need. And it's super light and portable. That's all you need. So that is my update for Monday and my advice for Kindles. I'm going to write up my summary for NetGalley on the Cara Bastone book, and then I'm going to go back to reading. I'll check in tomorrow. Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Hopping on to give you an update on the day. I am still very much in the throes of reading, and so this is just a pause in the day, but I think it's been a pretty good day considering, you know, I work. Today is New Release Tuesday, as I like to call it, and I know Ali Hazelwood's book Deep In came out today. I think in our world of like overconsumption and everybody being influenced, I have not heard much about this because I'm not engaging in a lot of the content that might be talking about it, but this is the book she's writing, or she wrote, that was about like two divers or swimmers that get into a romance, and I just wasn't into it. Like, Ali Hazelwood is all right, and I've read her books and they're all right, but I just wasn't compelled to read this one, so I didn't, and it feels empowering. So I did download one book today. I had pre-ordered Diana in Love by Jen Besser and Shayna Festi. This is part 2 in that Dirty Diana series. And I read Dirty Diana from Book of the Month Club, and I thought it was good. They're pretty short, but this is a continuation. So if you haven't read the first one, there might be a spoiler here. But basically this is, after the first book, Diana's life is kind of turned upside down. Her and her husband separate, and she goes on a trip to Paris, and she's trying to rediscover herself and love. And so that just seems like a really good book in my opinion, because as you guys know, I'm getting deeper and deeper into literary fiction, and so that is on the list. But again, because this is how it always happens, a lot of my Libby books have come through again. So one of the other books that I put on for request was Bemused by Farah Roshan. She writes, let me see. Okay, she wrote The Hookup Plan, The Dating Playbook. I read both of those and I liked them. But this is just basically a Hercules retelling from the view of the muses, right? So thinking about the movie, the chorus people, it's sort of their story. So I do want to read that, and I didn't know it was going to come so quickly, and so that is on the list. I feel like there was something else that I'd recently downloaded that was on, that might be it. Okay, so then also today I have been reading Same as It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo and Star-Crossed Egg Tarts. These are the two books that I'm reading. They're kind of neck and neck. We're both at about 50%. I'm trying to read and finish Star-Crossed Egg Tarts today because this is the shorter of the two and it's not as dense, and so I feel like I could do that. However, I do want to update my reading journal today, and I might listen to Same as It Ever Was while I'm doing that. But so what's happening? Star-Crossed Egg Tarts, as I mentioned yesterday, the murder victim has happened, and now our main character, I cannot remember her name. At one point I will. She is now kind of investigating what's going on. Colton, so Miles is the person that died, and he was Colton's sort of best man in this wedding, or groomsman. He shows up dead, and now we're trying to piece together what happened. One of the bridesmaids had a fling with Miles, and there was some speech that Miles was going to share that was going to expose this whole thing. Oh no, it was the bride who had a thing with him. So he was going to, at his like groomsman speech, going to expose this whole thing. So we're trying to, I think Colton did it, which is the husband. And they're trying to make us think that Kelvin is a part of it because Kelvin's dad worked with Miles in an internship and they didn't get along. But I don't think it's Kelvin because he's the love interest. Hello, he's got to keep coming back in the books. But it's still interesting. And then Same as It Ever Was, man, it is so good. It is 500 pages, but I think it's really worth like understanding the story. And what I like about Claire Lombardo's writing is the way that she creates characters. So our main character, Julia, starts off the story as just like this suburban mom who is in her 50s trying to raise sort of young adult children and just like, again, back into life and figuring out like the mundaneness of every day. But as we unfold throughout her story, we see throughout the years her indiscretions, her thoughts, her feelings throughout the marriage. And now we're to the part where we find out how her and her husband actually met. And it's one of those situations where like he was more into her than she was into him. But it started feeling comfortable, and so they decided to keep, being together. Although I don't think he ever realized that she felt that way. I think she always made him feel comfortable and secure in the relationship until she didn't. But it's just really well written, and I think I love these types of stories because it doesn't mirror my life, but I do like to see like this family dynamic sort of unfolding in the neighborhood, what's going on. I don't know what you call that, but I love those types of stories. And I think what Claire Lombardo also does really well is that she can shift for you your idea around the main character. So Julia started out and I felt kind of bad for her. I didn't really like her husband. He seemed standoffish. But as the story continues to unfold, I'm kind of disliking Julia because the choices that she makes and the things that people do for her, she doesn't see like the good that people do for her, and she doesn't understand like how her actions create drama. And so you just kind of want to shake her and be like, come on girl, like your life is good and let's just keep going with it. But she's not that type of person. She's always kind of like looking for the next best thing. So I'm really invested, and like I said, it is longer, but I'm really enjoying it, and I want to, like I said, finish Star-Crossed Egg Tarts tonight and continue with Same as It Ever Was. And then I think after that, I need to read Stuck Up and Stupid, which is an e-arc. And then when I'm done with Same as It Ever Was, I'm going to put Onyx Storm in the background so I can try to do 2 books at once. And then after, After not Out of the Woods. What did I just say? So many books. Okay, after Stuck Up and Stupid, which is an e-arc, I'm going to read Out of the Woods. And so, and then I'm looking for more literary fiction stuff. So excited about that. All right, so that is it for Tuesday. I will be back tomorrow, hopefully with a finished book. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Hopping on to give you an update on what I have read. I actually finished 2 books since we last spoke, so that's exciting. Last night I finished up Star-Crossed Egg Tarts by Jennifer J. Chow, and what did I give that? Ooh, I don't remember what I gave that. If I remember, I'll put it down below. I think probably like 4 stars. I thought it was a really good story. I do like Jennifer J. Chow's writing. It's your basic cozy mystery. We have a wedding that is happening, and as I mentioned, our main character has she has a bakery with her mom, right? We met her in the last book, and she is providing egg tarts for this wedding, and the person that comes up dead is under the table of the egg tarts, and so from there things kind of kick off. I think it was I like Jennifer J. Chow's writing. Let's just say that her writing is really, really good, and that keeps the story flowing. I also think it was great that I hopped back into a cozy mystery because I haven't read them in a while, and I forgot how much I do really enjoy them and how cozy they actually do feel. And so I'm going to be looking for a few more. I know that Vivian Chin has one coming out soon. So, well, not soon, I think April. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It's hard to talk about a cozy mystery because you don't want to give it all away, but generally the plots kind of are all the same. I think for me, I liked the story better than the mystery. I really didn't care about who did it once it all was said and done. I liked the story, so that's that. And then I literally just finished Same As It Ever Was by Claire Lombardo. Now this was a chunky book. I was about 42% yesterday, and I listened to, I did have to go into the building today at work, so I had about 30 minutes of listening in the car at 2 times speed, and then I listened to it another time too. Anyway, I had time, some audible time, but finished it up, and it is so good. Okay, if you love literary fiction, this is for you. So I've talked a lot about it, but this book centers around Julia. Julia's, I would assume, about 58, 57. Her oldest son is getting married out of the blue, and her daughter is graduating high school, so she's going through these changes. It's kind of just her and her husband Mark, and the transitions in her life start to spark some feelings for her, sort of about her own life, her journey, and it's really interesting the way it's written and how it turns. And so at the beginning, you're kind of looking at Julia as this distraught mother who's given her life and, being to her kids and her husband. And then as we go through the story, at least for me, I started disliking Julia a bit because she's a little bit disconnected with the impact her actions have, right? And so she's not able to see the harm that she causes because she has an inability to be happy within her life. I think that was my therapy answer response for her. She's unable to just live a quote-unquote normal life and without any ups and downs. And throughout the book, we kind of hear more and more about her growing up and the issues that she's had with her mother, who kind of pops in and out. And when I tell you, when we get to the end and they talk about, she gets her memories around her mother, boy, I was like, Julia, you are a mess. This has nothing to do with your mother, it has everything to do with you. And so it was really interesting to see that change of personality development and character development. I think for me, books where I am very passionate about the characters are ones that are well written, right? They're well developed characters, and they are they're doing the thing. So I really, really like that book. It is a big book, so you have to commit to it. But I did like it. So now I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to read next. And this is kind of hard because Same As It Ever Was so good that I don't want to read something that's not good. And I don't want to read something that's like too basic. I have 2 books that I need to read for NetGalley still. And so one is Stuck Up and Stupid. It is a YA book. I'm already a little thrown off because, if you're reading an e-arc, this is not a formatted book. And this is part of the reason I stopped doing NetGalleys before is because I didn't like the way they looked in my Kindle library. I've gotten past that, but for this one, I don't know if you could see it, but like the way the pages are set up, it's very clearly not formatted yet for an e-reader, and that's gonna throw me off, but I gotta do it, so I'm gonna work on that. And then I also want to start Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young, which is probably going to take priority. I still have a couple of books that were like thriller-y, like Don't Let the Forest Stand, that I need to read. And I was reading, where is it? The Family Experiment. But they haven't spoken to me just yet, so I'm going to kind of play around and see what pops up on the radar for reading. I do need to charge my Kindle, so that gives me time to think about it. I'm trying to think what else happened today. I think that's really it. I just spent a lot of time reading, and love that I was able to finish 2 books this week, especially bigger ones. So yeah, that's like about 850 pages I've read so far this week, and that's exciting. All right, so that is the check-in for Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow. Hey guys, happy Thursday. Hopping on to give you an update for today. This is probably gonna be a shorter clip because not too much happened today. It was pretty slow at work again. Today and tomorrow are gonna be slow. I'm so excited about that. It gives me a chance to do like non-meeting stuff. When I say slow, I mean I don't have a bunch of meetings throughout the day, and that's so exciting. So I've had a chance to do like paperwork stuff. But I didn't do too much reading yet. It's only about 7:30, and I do most of my reading after 5. And so I'm reading currently Out of the Woods and Onyx Storm. I mentioned yesterday that I was going to read Out of the Woods and I didn't know what else, but I forgot I'm also reading Onyx Storm. And so Out of the Woods I started yesterday. I'm about 21% in. This is a companion novel to Out on a Limb. Is it Out on a Limb? Yeah. And this book follows Caleb and, oh, what's the girl's name? I can't remember. And they are friends of Win and Bo from the first book. And they are married. They're high school sweethearts. They've been together since they're like 17. They got married young. And they're just hitting a rough patch in general. I think from what I'm hearing, sounds like Caleb has a good heart, but maybe it feels smothering. And so they decide to go on this retreat to the woods to try to, you know, like re-mend their marriage or whatever. So I'm only 21% in. It's good. It's fine. I mean, it's kind of starting off a little bit slow, but we just got to the retreat thing, so maybe that will help. And then I just picked up Onyx Storm. I read like 2%, and nothing has happened. Violet got injured, and that's pretty much it. So like I said, kind of a boring reading moment right now. And it's not that the stories are boring, it's I'm just in the middle. Nothing has happened. Last night I did download The Love Lyric by Christina Forrest. This is book 3 in the Green Sisters. So that's like Neighbor Favor and the Partner Plot. I didn't love Neighbor Favor, but I loved Partner Plot. And so I forgot that this was coming out. But this one says, Iris Green used to be a woman with a plan, but all of that changed after she met the love of her life at 24, got pregnant and married, and then became a widow and a single mother, all within the span of 1.5 years. Now, after years of hustling, Iris is the director of partnerships at a beauty company and raising spunky 6-year-old Kala by herself. Despite her busy life, she still can't help but feel lonely. She just needs to catch her breath in one night. At her sister's wedding, when she steps outside to do just that, she sees a certain singer who takes her breath away. By all accounts, pop R&B singer Angel Harrison has it made. He's a successful musician and has just scored a brand ambassador deal with an emerging beauty company. But he's still not fulfilled. He's not producing songs he's passionate about, and there's a gaping hole in his love life. When he visits the Save Face Beauty office to kickstart his campaign, he's delighted to see Iris, his stylist's sister, the beautiful woman he secretly had a crush on for years. Despite their obvious attraction to each other, they must stay professional throughout the campaign tour, which doesn't quite pan out. But when it becomes clear their lives aren't in sync, can they fall back in step to the same rhythm and beat? So that sounds really cute. I think, like I said, Christina Forrest, I liked Partner Plot, but not Neighbor Favor, so it's kind of like the deal breaker here is it's like now or never. So we'll start that soon too. And then I picked up my youngest from school, She started, they do like book reading groups. She's in 6th grade. They do like reading groups, and they started new ones. And she's like, Mom, I have to get a book. I know you'll be excited about this. And I was like, oh, when do you need it? And she's like, today. And I was like, skirt, from school straight to Barnes. And so we picked her book. There's only one copy left, which is great. And then I got a book. If you go back 2 days ago, I said I do not need this book. I'm not going to read this book. And now here I am with this book. Oh my gosh. Okay, there wasn't really anything else that I wanted to pick up. And this just was sitting there so pretty. It looks so nice. It's got sprayed edges. So I have it in my hands. Okay, this one says, Scarlett Vandermeer is swimming upstream. A junior at Stanford and a student athlete who specializes in platform diving, Scarlett prefers to keep her head down, concentrating on getting into med school and on recovering from the injury that almost ended her career. She has no time for relationships, at least. That's what she tells herself. Swim captain, world champion, and all-around aquatics golden boy Lucas Bloomquist thrives on discipline. It's how he wins gold medals and breaks records. Complete focus with every stroke. On the surface, Lucas and Scarlett have nothing in common until a well-guarded secret slips out and everything changes. So they start an arrangement, and as the pressure leading to the Olympics heats up, so does their relationship. It was supposed to be just a temporary, mutually satisfying fling, but when staying away from Lucas becomes impossible, Scarlett realizes that her heart might be treading into dangerous water. So I was not, okay, it's not that I dislike Ali Hazelwood books, it's that I wasn't excited about this. It was just like another one in the catalog. And she's kind of all over the place with her books. But so I'm checking this out and I'm like, I'm just gonna get it. And the checkout girl, she's probably like 20 something. And I must have looked young because she was saying that she just picked up this book and she was about halfway through. And she did not love the last book, Not in Love, because she felt like Ali Hazelwood is like a millennial writer and she's a little bit too cringy. And I was like, how old do you think I am? So I just went along with it. I was like, yeah, so cringy. So I do agree that Not in Love had some really cheesy dialogue and that really took me out. But I'm assured by the checkout lady at Barnes that this is a good one. And so I am excited to get started on this. I have a little bit of a stack going before I even get to this, but every once in a while when I want to hold a book, I have one here ready to go. So that is the update for Thursday. Not too much going on. We'll come back on Friday. Hey guys, happy Sunday. This is the last clip of the vlog. Yes, it's been a few days. I didn't film on Friday. My youngest actually got sick this weekend, and so it was just kind of like watching her on Friday. Then yesterday she was like down for the count. Today she feels better, so that's good. But I don't do well with that in the house as my oldest and I get sick very, very easily. And so it's like a game of avoidance until she feels better because I hate being sick. Like it's my pet peeve. And so I've been reading, and then yesterday I only had sort of one update and I wanted to give a full update of the things I've been reading. So I was in between books. So that's my excuse that I'm sticking to. I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. Okay, so today was, well, yesterday was like a snow day. It snowed for the majority of the morning into the early afternoon. It doesn't make it impossible to go out, but it just makes it not as exciting. So it's about like 3.5 inches of snow we got. And so we just did stuff around the house, which was fine, like I said, because my youngest was sick. And I got a chance to read. And then today, I also was reading, but I don't know if you guys know this about me, probably not, but I'm a bit of a gamer. And we have a Nintendo Switch. My youngest is also a gamer. You can tell we're very similar. And since she was sick, I was washing all her sheets today and her blanket. And I accidentally put the Switch in the washing machine. So that was a thing, and so I had to run and get a new one. The Nintendo Switch had been in the family for about 7 years now, so I think I had a good run. But now it's just a matter of like setting it up and getting all the game files back and trying to see if the other one will even turn on to try to do some transfers. So I was kind of doing that today. And what else? I think that is pretty much everything that's been going on. But you're here to listen about reading, so that's what I'm going to tell you. So I read, since Thursday, wrapped up 3 books. So excited to talk about those. I wrapped up Out of the Woods, Blue Sisters, and Babysitters Club number 70, Stacy and the Cheerleaders. So let's start with that one. That's the last one I read. That one was a really light, fast read because I recently read that. But I love that book because it's the kickoff to some of the drama that starts happening with Stacy and her time away from Babysitters Club. And so I love that. And if you've been on my channel, you know that I love when the Babysitters Club girls get on their high horse and they start exiling people because they're not, they're not always very friendly when they do that, and so I love that. Okay, so then, so I'm just adjusting. The one time I filmed and I put it in slow motion, now, like, after I film a little bit, I'm so paranoid I stop and go listen, make sure it's not in slow motion. So, did that. So, okay, so after Babysitters Club, well, that was the last book I read. And so, on Thursday, I was still reading Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. Sorry, I feel like I'm all over the place. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I really didn't like it, and I'm so sad because I really liked Out on a Limb and Next of Kin. Next of Kin is not part of this universe, but Out on a Limb is, and I really enjoyed that. In fact, that's the first Hannah Bonham Young book I read, and that's what made me want to read Next of Kin. And so I was really excited about this book. However, it was very lackluster for me. So this book follows Sarah and Caleb. You know I don't memorize the names, but I'm looking at the Goodreads right now because I never remember. Anyway, okay, Sarah and Caleb, they've been together since high school, and they have been through ups and downs. They're married now, I think like 10 years or something, and they're starting to fall out of, not out of love, but they're like getting really complacent with each other. Now, the kickoff for this to me was a little outrageous. So Sarah's, I'm trying to see if this is in the, okay, something, oh yes, okay, I'll just make sure it's in the, oh my gosh. So then, so I'm just adjusting, the one time I filmed and I put it in slow motion, now, like, after I film a little bit, I'm so paranoid I stop and go listen, make sure it's not in slow motion. So, did that. So, okay, so after Babysitters Club, well, that was the last book I read. And so, on Thursday, I was still reading Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. Sorry, I feel like I'm all over the place. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I really didn't like it, and I'm so sad because I really liked Out on a Limb and Next of Kin. Next of Kin is not part of this universe, but Out on a Limb is, and I really enjoyed that. In fact, that's the first Hannah Bonham Young book I read, and that's what made me want to read Next of Kin. And so I was really excited about this book. However, it was very lackluster for me. So this book follows Sarah and Caleb. You know I don't memorize the names, but I'm looking at the Goodreads right now because I never remember. Anyway, okay, Sarah and Caleb, they've been together since high school, and they have been through ups and downs. They're married now, I think like 10 years or something, and they're starting to fall out of, not out of love, but they're like getting really complacent with each other. Now, the kickoff for this to me was a little outrageous. So Sarah's mother has died, and the start of this book is a gala celebration in which she's fundraising for her mom, and they're not quite at the required amount or the goal. And Caleb magically comes up with the money and is ready to present this huge check. And Sarah is really upset because she just wanted to do this whole thing on her own. I think that's kind of a silly reason. It's not like they just met. They've been together since they're 17. Caleb also knew Sarah's mom. And so it's like, as you get to the story, like she was like a second mom to Caleb, and why wouldn't he want to help the cause? Like, I think he's just trying to help his wife. Anyway, she flips out unreasonably in my mind. They go like 3 weeks without talking or something, which is bananas. I guess they don't have any kids, so they could. I can't imagine doing that. Anyway, so they go for not talking, and they decide they're going to go on this retreat. It's a wood retreat. It's something in the woods. It's like a camping retreat, and there's a couple of other couples there, and they also offer like couples therapy and individual therapy there. And so as we get to the woods, we're like sort of the comedic humors around like having a hard time with this tent, and being upset with each other and trying to meet the other couples, and the owner of the place has a kid with her, which that kind of threw it off as well for me. We don't have like a third act breakup in this, but we do have like a event that happens, and that event catapults Sarah into remembering how much she loves her husband. So I just thought overall the plot was thin. There really were not any likable characters. Sarah was not it. I thought she was pretty annoying. Caleb wasn't like, he wasn't a bad guy, but like I would have been complacent in that relationship too. He was kind of boring. And then the couples that were on the camping trip with them, I think she was like trying to make them into like funny side characters. They weren't. I did not enjoy their dialogues at all. And so I wondered, I was telling my husband, I wonder if it's just like, because Adam Lim was so good, and I think it came out sort of independent and then got rebranded or whatever, I wonder if there was a rush to get this out and an expectation that wasn't there inherently, and this just fell short because of that. But maybe somebody else loved it, and I love that for you. I thought it was mid. I would recommend it if you're looking for like a very basic romance, but it wasn't on my top list. So then, as you guys know, I'm on my lit fic game right now, and I decided to read Blue Sisters. And so Blue Sisters has been on my list for a while. I had it downloaded on my phone, on my Kindle, and I had a copy of it from Book of the Month, but I ended up donating that or giving it to Half Price Books. And so I decided I was going to read that because I wanted something a little bit deeper. And from like the first page, I was hooked. I thought the writing was so, so good. So the Blue Sisters is about the Blue Sisters. We have Lucky, Bonnie, Avery, and Nikki. And the age order is Avery, Bonnie, Nikki, and Lucky. And we are post-year of their sister Nikki passing away. And we're following each sister as they navigate this year, how they, I guess, figure out their bond that they had with Nikki and how it influences them, as well as like the bond that they have to form together, because it seems like Nikki was the least problematic of all the sisters, and she passed away due to unfortunate circumstances, and so that's what the whole story is about. Half of it's set sort of in New York, half's in London. I thought it was interesting because none of the sisters, I guess besides Nikki, seemed like people I would want to be around. You have Avery as the oldest, who's always trying to take care of everybody. She wants to help protect people, but she doesn't want anybody in her business. And her and her partner are in sort of like a passionless marriage. And she's a recovering heroin addict. So not just a little bit addicted, like lots addicted. And then Bonnie is a boxer, and she's been a boxer for years. She started training in New York, and she's kind of just a loner. She's in LA now, and she had a fight that she lost, and I think that's where she's kind of like paused on some of her passions, and she's a bouncer at a club for now. And then obviously Nikki passed away. She was a teacher. And then Lucky is the youngest. She's a model, and she is the most talked about in the book, and I would say she's got the most issues, but I think that's mostly because she was the most talked about. Each chapter is from the perspective of Avery, Lucky, or Bonnie. We get most of the conversation around Avery and Lucky and their relationships because they're the butt ends of the sisters, and they had the least familiar relationship with each other because the youngest and the oldest didn't always get along. And so I ended up giving this 4 stars. I thought it was really good. I thought, like I said, the characters were good enough for me not to like somebody, and I think I had mentioned this on somebody's post, but I feel like if you don't like somebody, you don't like a character, the author has written it well enough for you to be invested. I thought Bonnie was the least interesting, and I really disliked her chapters because they were going nowhere. Lucky and Avery were both pretty insufferable, and so like any sisterhood, I would imagine they disliked each other, but they're the most alike. And and they just had a lot of issues. So this book is extremely heavy. I put it on my community tab. It's called the post tab now, and I was saying I was reading it and somebody commented and was saying it's got heavy themes. It is. It never lightens up. It was so like heavy and starting to get drab that I did not read the epilogue, which was like 10 years later. I always read the epilogues. I know some people don't read them. I always read them, and I just didn't care. It's 4 stars because I thought the story was intriguing, but I didn't get that 5th star, and I might even give it 3.5 stars, but just leave it 4 stars on Goodreads. But the reason I get that 5 star for me is because it did just sit in so much sadness throughout the story. There was nothing upbeat. There was not one moment of levity. It was just dark and sad the whole way through. Some people can appreciate and like that. I personally am not one of those people. I like to have a balance. And so, yeah, so I think 3.5 is what I'll land on, but leave it as a 4 in Goodreads with a comment that's 3.5. I still highly recommend it though. I think it was a popular book for a reason. I'm so glad that I got a chance to read it. And it's not as heavy page-wise as I thought. It's only 364 pages. And so I really thought it was going to be like a chunker, like 400 some. And it wasn't, but it did take me 3 days to read it because life, but also it was just kind of like, I need a little break. It's a little drab. It's getting sad, and I don't like those types of books. So those are the 3 books that I've read since Thursday. So I'm 7 books read in February. Super excited about that. The only other thing I want to show you is that I recently saw that the book Expiration Dates by Rebecca Searle came out in paperback, and this is one of my favorite Rebecca Searle books. This is the book where she has the main character gets notes just mysteriously at her door. It'll have a person's name and a date, and it ends up being the person she's going to date and the day that they break up. And so she kind of knows how long she'll be in the relationship and how much she wants to be invested. And then she gets a note that has a name but no expiration date. And so we kind of go through a dual timeline, which Rebecca Searle does very well, I think. And I've said this before, I don't think Ashley Poston does them very well, but I think Rebecca Searle does. So if you have read Ashley Poston and you like her, highly suggest you read Rebecca Searle because she also does timelines and it melds a little bit better for me. But we go through dual timelines between present time with the guy that she's dating who's supposed to be forever and the other people that she's dated. Anyway, so they came out paperback, and the paperback is just beautiful. And so when I saw this, I just knew I needed it on my shelf. I think the book, I have it on Kindle, so I don't even have a hardcover copy. And it's not a big book. I think it's like 260 pages or something like that. Oh, this has a guide in it. Oh, there's bonus content. Okay, I'm going in there. Yeah, 254 pages, and then you have the acknowledgments and bonus content. So I thought this was such a cute cover. I needed to have it, and it's pretty floppy, so I love that. But yeah, that is everything that has been happening the past 3 days. I hope you liked this weekly reading vlog. If you didn't check out my most recent video, I compared the different color e-readers that I have. I suggest checking that out. Spoiler, I did send back the books tablet. It just wasn't for me. It was too much fiddling around with settings. It was good to see what it was like. However, it does not represent a good color screen for me. And so I did send that back. So spoiler on that one. But go check that video out so you can see what my thoughts and comparisons were. And then I will have something for you later this week. And yeah, that's everything for the video. So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.